Hey everyone, hope you are well. Let's just do a quick little talk here about Palantir, what's going on. So, if you know me, I definitely think that Palantir, I'm very bullish on it, and I definitely think we're talking about a company here that is potentially, the Skynet of the future, something that we really are just seeing the baby footprints of what's coming here with Palantir. I'm very much in the camp that Palantir could either play around this 150 to 170 range here, which is a huge playground for swing traders, day traders, but I definitely think there's another conversation here where we definitely see the markets start to take off these last 2 weeks of November, which is a huge, conversation with even someone like Tom Lee, who thinks that's kind of what we're looking at here, where Palantir could just fly back into this $200 range here. Now, the question is, if and when Palantir can get into a $200 range and start chipping away at that? That's a real interesting place right now to kind of, put your mind with where Palantir can go here. 2026, what are we looking at here with Palantir? Palantir, these next quarterlies are going to be right under 1.5, and they could potentially get to that. Now, Palantir's already come out and said, hey, Q3, amazing. We've seen that. Q4, hey, this is probably what we're looking at. It's going to be pretty aggressive too, and it's going to be bigger than Q3. And still, there's money to be tacked on to Q4 to end out the year here. So, there's an argument here that Palantir could do almost 1.5 billion. Even 1.4 would be like, oh my God, for quarterlies. Now, obviously, they've got to come out with some aggressive dough here to get there. But, we've seen them do some pretty aggressive things yet so far that they've done here. I think there is definitely a fight to get to 200 and start chipping away at 200. Now, obviously, for the person in here going like, what are you talking about? The valuation is stupid. This is way too expensive. I get that. I get that. But I think there is a conversation to say, like, what does the stock market look like going into next year? Has this AI bubble collapse happen, or is it still is it going to be this time next year where we're going, there's going to be an AI bubble, no matter which way you cut this pie right now, this AI bubble situation? I'm definitely going to tell you there's still the Mag 7 is going to be controlled by AI stocks. I don't know if you've looked at those lately, but essentially if they're tech, it's AI, that's what it is. AI stocks are not going anywhere. I think I've heard some people talk about AI stocks in like essentially saying like, well, Apple, Meta, Tesla, they're going to go under. They can't. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Listen, that's insane talk. You're going to destroy your financial, portfolio here. Palantir obviously is in this very genesis stage of where it's at right now, and it can either get a lot crazier or maybe slow down a little bit. I don't think there's a conversation in here where Palantir just starts losing massive deals. That is not what we're seeing here. Even if Palantir slows down at this point, I think investors might go, okay, well, we'll just pump the brakes there a little bit. I don't think it necessarily means like people are going to be like, oh, I am out, dude. I am selling everything I have right now, Palantir. I don't necessarily think that's what that means. I think there's a real conversation here by like this time next year. Could Palantir be at minimum be releasing $1.7 billion quarterlies? Is that kind of what we could be talking about here? If the progression keeps going, if the deal making keeps happening the way it is. Obviously, right now, Alex Karp is physically out there talking to CEOs. He is finding deals. He is literally doing that. He's walking into other CEOs' offices and saying, hey, we can make you money. We can save you money. Do you want to work together? It's really happening that way. I would be very cautious to think that Palantir is gonna, sell off. I see a lot of people saying that. And it's a very, if Palantir had slowed down here in these quarterlies, that conversation would somewhat stick to the wall. It's just a complete opposite of what has taken place here so far. They came out with aggressive quarterlies, like super duper aggressive, and that's the best word to say, super duper, so everyone can be on the same page here. And the next quarterlies are going to be even better, with potential more to be on them. Right now, I really find it interesting where the market can go the rest of the year. And I think that's a lot of the rocky road that's in front of us. What is the next, five, 6 weeks of trading look like here? What does that look like? You know, does the market pick up here the last 2 weeks of November? Do we get the rate cut in the beginning of December? Does the market end on a high note? Does the market completely shock and go against the narrative of what a lot of bears are saying and go, you know what, we are going to hit the S&P is going to hit 7,000 points, and you know what, it's going to start another little run here, and we're going to be in 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, and it doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to make sense. And when these Q4s come out with a lot of even our Mag 7 stocks here, they're going to be big. We already know more than likely Apple, Amazon are going to release very aggressive quarterlies to round out the year here to end it because of the holidays. Nvidia comes out with quarterlies here this week, Wednesday, and more than likely Nvidia is going to do what they've done the last 2 quarterlies. They're going to come out with great quarterlies. People are going to go, well, that's what we expect, and it's really not going to do much. But obviously, if it were to not do much, if it were to be bad, it would be bad for the overall stock market. The thing why it's kind of hard to go against Nvidia at this point is because, Nvidia, even Jensen keeps saying like, hey, we can't make chips fast enough. We just can't even make enough. I mean, we just can't because of the demand of what these things are. Not to mention NVIDIA's software, and they do a lot more in software, what people don't even know. I really look at Palantir here and I go like, what if this is like the baby stages of where we're at right now? What if this is like NVIDIA 7 years ago? Now, I'm not saying Palantir is going to be making $70 billion quarterlies here in 7 years. But what I'm saying is, think about NVIDIA 7 years ago, where they were just making 4, 5, 10 at the most billion-dollar quarterlies, and people are like, well, this is good. They'll never do more than this. There's no way. This was a good investment. We're about done here. The company has hit, landed on a shelf here. Well, people are I don't know why people are so negative and bearish on companies. They're saying that right now with Palantir. And I get this is weird. Like, I get that narrative where people are like, this is unnormal. This isn't normal for, stocks to run this aggressive, to be so overpriced, evaluation, and to be getting this many deals. I get that conversation 100%. But, sometimes things just work out good. There's plenty of, I'm going to tell you something if you don't know. There's a lot of people, if you're not in the stock market deeply, there's like different levels of obsession in the stock market. I have definitely found out. I'm pretty much up there. I mean, I have 2 stock channels, for God's sakes. I can't shut up about this stuff. But, there are plenty of companies throughout every year that run like crazy and are completely overvaluated, getting insane deals, making great money, and the stocks runs up to amazing prices. And they don't get the spotlight like Palantir has. Palantir has just run into this place of, the zeitgeist of the market, a very popular stock. I think a lot of that too comes with Alex Karp. Alex has always been in the spotlight. He has a big old mouth that he runs, and my God, say what you will, but he has done wonders for the company, pushing and talking about the AI, broad view of what it is and what's going on, and talking about Palantir as well. So I think this is more of a conversation right now of, it's not really to look at Palantir and go like, well, it's going to fall apart. It's going to fall apart. I think you've got to look at the bigger picture here and go, well, it's working. It's okay to say that. It's okay to admit that. It will do wonders for you. If people just go, you know what, this Palantir thing, it's working. It's really working. And maybe I should give it a go. It might do wonders for you. I get that this is highly over-evaluated. I get that. And one thing, even from January of this year, it's safe to say a lot of these popular analysts, these people who were so against the market this year, have gotten a lot wrong. They've gotten a lot wrong. So Palantir here, who are we to say what it's going to do? This could definitely get more aggressive. Why couldn't it? You know, what is Palantir going to look like by Q1 of 2026? You know, is Palantir going to be in a range of, I don't know, if the market keeps doing well, does it go to 220, 230? Yeah, it's overpriced. But if Palantir keeps coming out with these aggressive quarterlies like it does, when is the stopping point? As soon as Palantir starts to back off of these aggressive quarterlies like it does, then I think most of us will go, okay, now pump the brakes. You know, I don't know if I would buy past this quarterly right now. Let it marinate. Let's watch what happens here. But right now, you know, the quarterly it just came out, amazing. The next quarterly, it's going to be amazing. What does Q1 for 2026 look like to start off the year? It's a really interesting place right now with Palantir. So, friends, obviously this year with Palantir was insanely aggressive, but this year coming, you know, could Palantir become even more of an aggressive company? Look what Oracle's done in the past 3 years. I mean, 4 years. You know, it's been a wild run with that company. So, and you know, look what's going on now. Companies can have a long run. Now, Palantir obviously, you know, has had a really good 3 years, but maybe the running is kind of just starting here. Maybe this is the first year of a 2 to 3 year big run. Yeah. Friends, take care of yourself. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.